Now that we set up a Next.js project and we connected it to a database, it's time to create the styles. So first things first, I want to create a navbar. So we'll go back to Explorer. In the root folder, we're going to create another folder and call it components. And inside this components, we're going to have a file, call it navbar.tsx. This navbar will have like a brand, the title, and then a button for the new entry page that we're going to create later on. So in order to create a new component, type in RFC. This is from the React Snippets extension that you can get from the VS Code extension marketplace. So you can get these React snippets. We're going to select the first one, and for the navbar, we're going to leave it as it is. Now for the div, we're going to replace it with a nav. Inside, we're going to have two lists because the way Pico CSS works is like you have a list for like a list with a single item for like the brand or the name of your application, and then the other one for like buttons and stuff like that. So to do this, we're going to type in UL greater than sign LI. This is an emmet abbreviation, so a list item inside an unordered list, single list item. And right here, we're going to also add a strong, give our text like make our text bold, and call this journal app. Now for the second list is going to be a single button. So again, li like this. And inside this li, we're going to add a link component from the next link library, a Next.js link component like that. href is going to be / for now. And we don't need this anchor tag, so we'll get rid of it. Now we want this to look sort of like a button, so to do this, we're going to add an as role as attribute. Sorry, not as when. Give it a role attribute of type button. Now we finally created a simple navbar. We're going to change this later to our entry. You know what, let's just do it right now. So entry / create. And now we can go back to the layout TSX and then go right here, for example, import our navbar here inside our body like this. I'm gonna place it inside the main element, place it inside main tag, and there's our website after we added this navbar right here. Let me go back for a second to the navbar and change that from like home to new entry. If we go back here, there it is. Okay, awesome. So that's the navbar taken care of. Now we're gonna create a card for every database entry. So to do this, we're gonna create another component inside a navbar. Call it entry card.tsx. And again, we're gonna use the React snippets. So instead of RFC, we're gonna use tsrfc. The reason for this is because we're gonna add types to our entry card. We're gonna pass it some props, and these props have to be typed since we're using TypeScript. So tsrfc, press enter, and it's going to automatically generate a bunch of boilerplate. Mainly have this type props, which so far is an empty object, but we're going to give it a few attributes. So first up, we need the ID, which is of type string, and the title is also going to be a string. Content will also be a string. We don't need the created ad. We are not going to display it. Last but not least, we have the mood. But it's not going to be any string. We're going to import the mood type. Now remember what I said earlier in the last video about Prisma generating types. This is one of the types that gets generated, a mood object. Go right here, have our type mood, joyful, excited. Now all we have to do is destructure these attributes. So ID, title, content, and then mood. All right, now we're ready to create our card. So first of all, we're going to replace this div with an article. It's going to be our card element. Inside this article, we're going to have three things: a header, the body, and the footer. The header is pretty straightforward. This is going to be essentially our title. I'm going to give it an H2, for example, H2 title. Now for the body, we're not going to add in a lot of content, so maybe just right here, Now for the footer, this is going to be our mood, for example. And yeah, that is how we style created an entry card. Now for this ID, we're gonna use it later inside, but for now, kind of need in our home page. So let's go back here, and then for the entries.map, we can get rid of all of this, and then entry card, we're gonna give it a key of entry.id, for example, entry.id. And then we're going to spread the entry object across all the other other props. So basically, let's see the title, stuff like that. We're going to automatically passing it without, going through every prop and passing it this each prop its respective value. So, all right, there it is. We have our entry card. I'm excited now. One more thing I like to do right here is, for example, how I feel at the moment. For example, this is going to be, I'm going to make this one bold, so again, wrap this in a strong tag. Let's get rid of this p tag, because there's this thing in Pico, if you put in like p tag inside like another tag, whatever, there you go. Now it's all on the same line. See, we also need to create the new entry page. So to do this very simple, let's go ahead into app, a new file, and right here we're going to call this /entry, and then inside this we have another folder called create. Inside of it we're going to have the page.tsx. So this is our page right here. Now we just need to type in rfc, hit enter, and instead of page we're going to call this one create page. As such, we're going to create a forms, and since we're using forms to submit data to like database make server calls, we need to go ahead and enable server actions. This is an experimental feature in Nextjs 13, so I advise you not to use it in production. But anyway, to enable it, all you have to do is just to shut down our Nextjs server, go back here, go to next config.js. Inside the next config, we're going to put in an experimental property. Inside this experimental object, we're going to add, let's see, server actions. It's going to be true. Now we can go ahead and fire up our Nextjs project again. So npm run dev, and there you go. We have it up and running again. Now back in our create page, all we have to do now is just create our form. Now this form right here is going to be we're gonna leave the action empty for now, but we're gonna have three things. First up, we're gonna have a simple input field. So input of type text, name, ID, placeholder, title. That's exactly what we want. And we'll also put in like a label before it. So label, and then HTML for title. So for the title input, call it title. And we're gonna do the same right here. So copy and paste. Change all the title to contents title, give it a content. Actually, let's change it from input type text. We're gonna call it a text area, because here we can input a lot of things all at once. Last but not least, we're going to add a drop-down menu. Now this part is very important right here, because we need to let the user be able to view all the moods. So we need to get all the moods programmatically instead of having to type out each mood manually by hand. First, let's go back here and check if the new entry is working. Let me refresh this for a second. There it is. Okay, it loads just fine. Go back here. There you go. All right, so now we have to import the mood object. So first up, we're going to import mood from Prisma client types. Now, mood can either be a type alias or object literal alias right here. So joyful, excited, key value, stuff like that. Now we're gonna first up we're gonna see select disabled. Sorry, not select disabled, but just select. In the name we're gonna give it moods. Now inside the select we're gonna give it first up, we're going to give this an option of an empty value, and this empty value will essentially be disabled by default. It's going to be selected, and the text inside of this option will be select a mood. So this is going to be like our placeholder thing. And now we can go ahead and take this moods object and loop over. But first we need to, as you can see, we need to either get the key or the value, which doesn't matter in this case because both are pretty similar. So first I'm going to go ahead and type in const moods equals object.values mood. Now we're ready to map over the array of moods. So moods.map, and then for every mood we need to render out option value mood. We give this one ID x, so it's going to be the position of the element in our moods array. Okay, so it's the other way around. The index goes first, then the mood. There it is. Now we get rid of these brackets. Also forgot to close this bracket, so we're going to do that. Missing key prop. Okay, so not the ID, we need the key prop. Alright, now if you go right here, again, let's go back to mood and IDX. I apologize for that. Sometimes it gets really confusing when you're trying to render a list, but if you go right here, there have a joyful, excited. Yeah, so basically the predicate goes first, which is like the element you want to iterate over, basically the alias, and then the ID. So basically you have numbers, and then have for every number do this when you return a new array. Now last but not least, we need a button of type submit, which is going to have create like that. And now we're ready to get to our form actions part. Let me just go ahead right here outside the create page. We're going to create an async function. We're going to call it create entry. And right here, we're going to put in a string of use server to denote this is a server action. To tell Nextjs that this is a server, that we're going to use this server action. So first up, we're going to get the form data. So to do this, we actually need to pass it a prop called of type form data called data, and then we need to get the form data. So const let's go ahead and create a new form data variable, and then inside this form data we're going to create an object. First up, we're going to have the title, which is data.get. So we're getting the getting a form element of the type of the name title. So have the input element which has the name title. We're gonna get the value from it, so we can put that in our database. Same here for the content. Data.get content. We also need to make sure that this is not null, otherwise our Prisma object will not be happy with it because it doesn't accept null values. So this bang means this is a non-nullable object, non-nullable value essentially. And then bang toString. Now this part is optional. I can leave it out. You don't have to. So yeah. Now this one is not going to be a string. It's going to be of type mood because this is what the Prisma create object expects. So I'm going to import the. I'm going to typecast it as mood. Now last but not least, we're going to await Prisma.entry.create. We can create our form data. So there it is, data, form data. And once we're done, we can go ahead and redirect the user to the home page. So we're gonna redirect /. Now, one thing about the IntelliSense that annoys me is that if you want to import the redirect, it automatically detects the one that is found in this module, which is not what we want. We want to go ahead and use the redirect object from Next navigation. As you can see now, the error is gone. Now if I go ahead and type in anything, so my entry, what a beautiful day. Well, it is a beautiful day. Joyful, and now we click create like this. Now I forgot to do something very important here, which is to basically bind our what is it, server action to the form action attribute. So create entry like this. We go back here, so title, let's see. Now if we click create again, and we get an error. Mood must not be null. Because we gave our select moods instead of mood. If we go right here, let's try this again. Click create. Now we have our journal, our new entry at the bottom. Now the problem is that the user will have to scroll all the way down to the bottom to see their new entry, which is not what we want. So to fix this, we're going to go to the find menu that we created on our home page, page.tsx, and then we're going to insert an empty object, and this object is going to take an attribute which is order by, like this. And this order by will take one attribute, which is the value we're sorting, we're using to sort this. So in this case, it's going to be created at and descendingly. So the one that's created, the news value that we, news entry that we created in our database shows up first. So we go back here again. There you go. We have the new entry on the top, and then scroll down here. We have our old one. So yeah, in the next part, we're going to get some deep dive into editing and then deleting database, because these are the ones that are very finicky. You have to hack some way into these. With the new Nextjs 13 app router, there's some like workarounds you have to figure out in order to get the edit and delete functions working.